I've been working on some design and tech upgrades for my living room over this past holiday break. My home office here has long been the nicest room in my apartment, and it is time for that to change. I've got a full design tour coming when the space is ready, but in the meantime, I have some really great smart home tech upgrades I am very excited to share with everyone. I also want to give a huge thank you to DREO for partnering with me on today's video. This couldn't happen without their support, but even more importantly, I've been testing out a few things from their lineup, and I am extremely impressed. I'm a huge fan of sort of clean, modern, and minimal type of style, but I'm also someone that really loves a nice cozy environment. It's even more important for someone like me that lives and works from the same space all day, every day. Make no mistake, I've got my living room loaded up with tech, but for me, the more natural the environment feels, the better. It's definitely no surprise to any of you having seen my home office design, but focusing on earth tones and nice warm lighting and interesting textures is my favorite way to achieve that sort of cozy look and aesthetic while still being nice and clean and modern. Especially in the winter though, things can get pretty cold and dry in here. I've had allergy and respiratory problems pretty much my entire life. I've got a few items from DREO to talk about today that have been really helping in that department. First up in the living room is the new MC706 2-in-1 tower fan and heater. Myself, my wife, and especially my cat Wolfie have been really loving this thing. You know, cozying up on the couch in the evenings and having just a little bit of extra heat just adds to that cozy, comfortable type of feeling. With the 2-in-1 though, I really love that the heat is optional. It's going to be really nice later in the year as things warm up to have just a nice dedicated fan there instead of having to store a heater for months and months on end. Getting into some of the basics for the MC706 though, it has a really strong wind velocity. You can get up to 29.2 feet per second. You have a sort of instant on heat switching from the fan mode. It can activate and start producing heat in 2 seconds. It'll oscillate up to 120 degrees, and this thing is super quiet. They rate it at 25 decibels, which is basically something that you can't even hear. My favorite part though is definitely the level of control that you have with the unit. You have the option for a full auto mode with adjustments down to the degree if you want to set a specific temperature. You have 5 different heat levels, 4 different fan modes, and the oscillation can be turned on or off, obviously, but it can also be adjusted anywhere from 30 degrees to 120 degrees. Everything can be adjusted through the integrated touch controls. You have an LED display that shows everything, but it also includes a remote to do everything so you don't have to get up off the couch. There are also a number of safety measures in place, which is really great to see. That sort of thing is super important when you're looking at space heaters. You know, house fires are no joke. So in the living room, we've got the heat and the airflow covered by the 2-in-1. It's also really important to make sure that you're getting some good humidity in this cold, dry winter air. I've been testing out DREO's humidifiers as well. Out in the living room, I have the larger HM524S smart humidifier. I've been using humidifiers my entire life. These are honestly the nicest and most feature-rich humidifiers I have ever seen. It has 6 liters of capacity and can cover up to a 500 square foot room. You have a 4-inch wide mist design. It does a really great job at spreading out, and it doesn't really get any of the surfaces wet around it, which is really important for mold, but also really important to make sure that your tech is safe. Just like the fan, this is also super quiet with the operation. It measures at 28 decibels. The smart features of the humidifier though are unlike anything else I've ever tested. You have on-device controls obviously, but you have a ton of options and customization with the DREO app. I usually run it on full auto mode. It has a built-in humidity sensor so you can just set a target level of humidity and it takes care of the rest for you. You also have the option to run it manually if you'd like, and you can even set specific schedules if you know you're away from home, you know, going to work if you're not like me working from home all the time. I really love the ambient lighting. It looks nice on its own, but actually serves a function as well. Within the app, you can set different parameters, so it'll let you know with the light in the unit whether it's a little too dry or a little too humid or just right. Thought that was a really nice touch, and it's a little bit boring, but if anyone has used humidifiers their entire lives like me, really important to mention that the entire top comes off for the refill. It is incredibly easy to clean and maintain over time, which is not always the case. And I know I've been focusing on the living room upgrades the past couple of months, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to grab a couple of things for my office as well. I'm arguably in here more than anywhere else in my apartment day to day. For the office, I've got a second humidifier. It's kind of the baby brother to the HM524S. This is the HM306S. It has a very similar feature set, but it's just designed for a little bit smaller rooms that'll handle up to 300 square feet. It's still super quiet, still has the same fine mist capabilities, still has all of the same app control, but there's an extra feature that I really like here. The built-in humidity sensor lighting on the other unit. You have the same thing here, but you also have the option just to override that with any sort of RGB color that you choose. Because I tend to run everything on auto, it's not something that I really need to monitor or take care of. You know, DREO's kind of handling that, so I like adding an extra warm pop of light in the office here. You might have noticed it in the background already. I might have saved the best for last out of the DREO products, at least my personal favorite. This is the Polyfan 704S behind me here. It's honestly the most feature-rich fan I've ever used and owned, and probably the most powerful too. For its pretty small and unassuming size, it moves a ton of air. It's rated up to 882 cubic feet per minute. It's definitely more than my basic box fan that I have that's probably more than double the size. It feels like a vortex here on the turbo mode. Has 6 different wind modes, 9 different speed, it has both vertical and horizontal oscillation, which is great. But again, there's definitely a theme here. There are a ton of control options available. You have an LED display in the fan with touch controls, obvious and expected, but you also get a separate remote, and you also get just the most amazing customization and control options through the DREO app. The app control has definitely been the biggest wow factor for me here. It has a built-in temperature sensor inside, which I've never had in a fan. It's so nice. You can set it up based on the temperature, so it'll adjust the speed as needed to help keep things cool and keep the air flowing. You have the manual controls, obviously, but there's that full auto mode with the temperature, and you can even set it for a schedule if you want to set it to go to bed. My wife loves having a fan to go to sleep with. It is super quiet. You probably can't even hear it, but it's been running in the background this entire time during the filming. The outside street noise is much louder than this fan behind me. I honestly can't even hear it. I've been loving the fan in here, but it might actually be moving into my bedroom. While I was away at CES last week, my wife came in and stole it and had been using it while she was sleeping all week. She fell in love with it, so I don't think I can keep it in here, or we might at least need to pick up a second one if I'm not moving it in there permanently. But overall, all of the products here have been really impressive. The build quality, the design, the functionality, all really top notch. The smart app that you use everything with too has been really great, and that's not always the case with so many of these smart home products. It looks great, it's designed beautifully, and it functions properly, which is so important and so overlooked by so many of the other smart home products. And I had mentioned I was away at CES last week. I actually got a chance to check out DREO's booth while I was there, so I got to see some of the other products that I don't have with me here. Their entire lineup seems really solid. They've got a pretty good variety of choices and options. You have air conditioners and heaters and air purifiers, all sorts of stuff, and it all seems really great. I loved visiting their booth in addition to testing these the past couple of months. Be sure to check the links in the description down below. DREO's running some New Year's promotions right now with my code, so take advantage of that. Check these out. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. There might be some other models or something that might be the best fit for you. Happy to talk about it. Really excited for the full living room tour to happen when it's ready. That was the original plan for today's video in addition to the DREO products, but I've had some delays with some furniture and some of the finishing touches on the room, and I just want everything to be perfect and right. So we're probably looking around March or April for that, so stay tuned. Let me know if you want just a straight tech tour, just a design tour, one mega video. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. I am very excited. I love working on interior design stuff. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.